What's up, everybody, and welcome to Inside the Game, your source for everything in the world of video games. You can always be a part of our show by going to insidethegame.ca or hitting us up in Discord, where there you can submit your clip and be the highlight of the week. We've got a great show, so what's coming up? Well, here it is. It's the rundown.
But if your people take damage, if you lose a gun, for say, somebody goes down, that continues on to the next mission. And if you actually fail, it puts you right back at square one.
Alright, fellow explorers, in this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to take down the Juggernaut. Yes, the behemoth, the end game boss.
Hey guys, this week's mobile mention, I want to talk about Rocket League Sideswiped. That's right, Psyonix has brought Rocket League over from the consoles and we've got it on mobile. Like I said in the intro, Steve, we're checking out After the Fall VR. This is kind of a Left 4 Dead arcade zombie shooter. This is actually one of my first kind of arcade shooters in the VR world. I've played some VR shooters in the past.
Okay. Oh my.
Oh,
that was fast.
That happened quick. I was like, ready?
Okay, so I found the button.
Another loaded show. So, no further ado, let's get going as Scott and I jump into the world of No Plan B. Scott, that didn't work, and there's no Plan B. Scott, you and I checked out No Plan B over on PC. We're in the world of Steam, and we're checking out what I was pretty excited to play. This is a throwback, dude, to like the early days of Rainbow Six, where you would go and plan your strategies for your team. You would coordinate, okay, I'm gonna send Alpha Team over in this sector, and they're gonna plan out your route over there. They're gonna send Bravo over here and plan them out this way. This is kind of how the game was pitched, perceived, and as I started to play, didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. Didn't really click for me, I'm afraid, my friend. What did you think of No Plan B?
Well, I saw the announcement trailers and I thought, okay, this is something I haven't really seen done before. From the top-down perspective, I thought that was really interesting. But then, like you said, you get into it, it's not exactly what it appeared to be. I think my excitement was, like you said, from Rainbow Six or Ghost Recon back in the day, where you could plan about the map and, okay, everybody attack now. And
exactly
that is about the part that's still just as perceived. It does have that kind of complication behind it, and it leads to a lot of really interesting gameplay moments, but it doesn't have a whole lot of depth. But
no.
What did you think when you ran through the first few missions? Because I don't know if we had the same experience.
Not well, maybe we did, maybe we didn't. My first experience is I died real fast. So after figuring that out, doing the tutorial does help to some extent. The biggest thing for me is that there's really no reason to pick the FBI, the SWATs, or the robbers over another. There's 4 classes to pick. Each class has their own little set of perks that will benefit from one or another, or if you're in case of a robber, there's some that actually are lesser than the others, which is kind of like, oh man, why would I want to pick you then? Because you're slower or your aim isn't as good. And there's rewards for a bit of a skill tree that allow you to tap into your resources and upgrade your skills for some of your characters as you progress. But dude, the controls are clunky. I'm trying to plan out, okay, if I bust this door down, throw in a flashbang, then I'm going to follow up with my sniper, I'm going to follow up with the guy with the shotgun, and follow up with somebody else. And I had one person just run in before someone even threw the flashbang, then the flashbang throws in, and then you don't know where all of the bad guys are positioned, so you're trying to go in and survey the place at the same time. But dude, I had no tactile feel to it. That was my frustrating point to it, because I would hold my guys up, because you have a palm, so you're able to hold your position and then try to move forward from there. Dude, nothing was coordinated, nothing worked the way I was hoping for, and it was just, I would rather go back and play Rainbow Six.
Well, Rainbow Six will always be there in our hearts. But
yes.
No, I think I had a very similar experience where it just kind of, how do I control this? What do I want to do with my guys? And the very first mission I started, nobody moved, and I immediately failed because I wasn't sure how to really control it. So I went through the tutorials, and they were quite detailed, but I feel like it's just missing a little bit of a human explanation. It's all there,
Yes.
you can read it how it works, but you kind of need somebody to explain, well, the timeline bar shows all the events, and you can move that around to coordinate people at different times. And so it's all there, but it's quite complicated. And
Sure.
I found myself just kind of not doing what I wanted to do for the first little while. I
Yep.
did kind of get it under control, but it was just a little too late where I had some frustrations already. When you go through the campaigns, and there are several of them for each different faction, we'll say, they go from mission to mission to mission. But if your people take damage, if you lose a gun, for say, somebody goes down, that continues on to the next mission. And if you actually fail, it puts you right back at square one. And that really hurt.
It does hurt. Dude, a long time ago, Cory and I reviewed Peaky Blinders. It had this mechanic of a rewind mechanic that allowed you to time everything in sequence with all of the Peaky Blinder characters. It was a flawless mechanic. It worked simultaneously the way it was supposed to, with all the characters lined up. The minute you pause some character, you were then able to plan out your route from somebody else, which then would continue on. But then once that character hits your trigger, then the other characters would start moving. This is what lacked a lot in No Plan B. The ability to time my movements properly. You can rewind, and then you get to your spot, and then you move the other character, and that's supposed to sync up, dude, and it just didn't sync up. It's just simplistic. It's a little too simplistic, and like you say, is really missing that human element of some kind of, even a narrator of some sort. I think would have helped benefit the gravitational pull to this game, because right now, dude, it's just a lot of reading and a couple sound effects here or there, and it's really, really boring.
Well, you made me think with the narrator or some sort of narrative that illuminates that there really is not much narrative at all in this game. There's no story mode.
No.
Each campaign will take you from, kind of a small scale event all the way up until preventing a bank robbery or something, and that's cool.
Sure.
But I don't know who these bad guys are. There's no characters that are really memorable on my side. Nobody's telling a story here, and I kind of understand that that's up to me to customize the characters and kind of make the story, but I wish there was something that was pulling me through more. It feels like you kind of just have to make your own fun with it.
Scott, No Plan B just had no connection for me. Unfortunately, nothing worked the way I was kind of hoping for. I really had a lot of hype going into this game, and the mechanics just not lining up with being able to sync your characters. No narration, no story, no connection to the game. Unfortunately, just puts me there with a 3. What about you?
Oh, that hurts a lot because I had a lot of that excitement. I feel exactly what you're thinking, and it just wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. And maybe that's a little bit my fault, but at the same time, you get into this game and it just kind of feels a little flat. And I thought No Plan B would be a pretty good solid A, but I think I have to give this one a B minus, actually. I'm there with a 6. It has a lot of potential, but it just didn't quite live up. Complex controls and the lack of story really limits the experience. Unfortunately, it does not live up to the hype.
Alright fellow explorers, in this video I'm going to teach you guys how to take down the Juggernaut. Yes, the behemoth, the end game boss. Me and my brothers have been grinding out this game for the last while, and we were trying to figure out how to get power cores. So in this little segment I'm going to teach you guys how to take down the behemoth and what exactly it rewards you with. So if you look at the southeastern part of the map at Hayes Crater, this is where you can take down the behemoth. And well, the name speaks for itself. It is a massive crater, and it almost leads me to believe that maybe this crater was formed from what's at the center of its pit. Because upon entering the area, you'll notice this massive mech, a behemoth, a juggernaut you might even call it. The mysterious mech remains completely still until you get too close, and then all hell breaks loose. So what you need to bring is a lot of ammo. I would suggest maybe bringing 2 weapons, 3 weapons. Bring a lot of healing. Make sure that your weapons and armor are both fully repaired. And the major thing you need to do, especially if you're going to solo the Juggernaut, is that you should build a little base of operations where you can have a cloning chamber. Because you probably will die at least once during your first encounter fighting this beast. So how you actually take this thing down is there are only 4 points that you can inflict damage on it. Both its knees, but only one side of its knees. Its midsection and its chest, or face I guess you could call it. These red dot areas are the only spots where you can actually inflict damage. Nothing else will do anything against it. So always make sure you are behind cover. There are all sorts of patches of rocks that you can hide behind and boulders, and you need to make sure you are there because every now and then he charges up a huge shot that is practically a one-hit kill if you don't have mercenary gear. Something to note is that once it starts smoking black, it will do a missile barrage in the sky and just start raining hell all over the place. This is usually a halfway point where you know you're pretty close to taking this thing down. So once you've finally destroyed it, don't get too close because it does do a huge explosion, but then you can go and loot away. There are usually 5 smaller pieces, each of which you can loot for 1 power core each, and then there is a big chunk you can loot that gives you anywhere from like 4 to 6 power cores. And of course you get some extra materials like electrons, titanium, and some high carbonite steel. These little extra resources are just a bonus from breaking down the parts of the actual machine. You also get roughly 1500 flops for harvesting the main chunk of the Juggernaut, but alongside the other 5 pieces you're anywhere from 1500 to maybe 2500 if you're really lucky. Alright guys, so that's it. That's how you take down the behemoth. Now you gotta keep in mind, there is a 1 hour respawn timer on this thing, so you can't grind it out over and over again. And while you're sharing this behemoth with the entire server. So sometimes you might run into another team that is already fighting it. So, you know, yeah, there's no PvP in this game, so you can't just shoot them and then take it over. So you just gotta keep that in mind, guys. But that all to say, I hope this video helps you out taking down the behemoth in Memories of Mars.
Hey guys, this week's Mobile Mention, I want to talk about Rocket League Sideswiped. That's right, Psyonix has brought Rocket League over from the consoles and we've got it on mobile. Let me tell you, they've done a heck of a job here. This feels, and you know, such an authentic Rocket League experience even on the mobile platform. When this game was announced a few months back, I wasn't entirely sure how they were going to port this one over and really make it successful, but you know what, I never should have doubted them. They did a great job here. We get this kind of side-scrolling gameplay action, which I think is a really cool twist on the Rocket League world. You know, we're so used to this kind of 3D camera all over, but we're getting this kind of 2D feel about it, but at the same time, with all those authentic Rocket League maneuvers as far as jumping and boosting through the air, they've done a fantastic job at just making you feel like, you know what, there is no difference between playing it on mobile and playing it on console, and I've just had had so much fun. We have everything when it comes to being able to customize your vehicles in the garage and all the different unlockables you can get throughout the battle pass. And we also have a season. Season 1 has begun, and there are some really sweet unlockables for it. And they've just done such a great job being able to connect that console experience over on the mobile platform. You can link up with your friends and play these ones with the 1v1s, the 2v2s. Honestly, this is my favorite mobile game at the moment. If you haven't taken a look at Rocket League Sideswipe, make sure you do. Steve, this week we're throwing on the VR headsets, and let me tell you, I was a little bit scared with this one, but we're fighting off hordes of zombies in After the Fall.
Be on your guard.
Let's go.
Like I said in the intro, Steve, we're checking out After the Fall VR. This is kind of a Left 4 Dead arcade zombie shooter. This is actually one of my first kind of arcade shooters in the VR world. I've played some VR shooters in the past, but this one's kind of unique. It makes me feel like I'm kind of at the arcade when I was a kid again, and I'm just kind of fully immersed in this one. I had a ton of fun kind of jumping in. I was playing on my Cosmos Elite headset, and honestly, I thought the graphics and fidelity was really good in this game. That's usually one of the first things I notice about VR games, because that's kind of how I judge if I'm going to stay in this one for a little bit or not, because sometimes it's hard on the eyes. This one did a pretty good job. What were you playing on, and what were your thoughts on this one, Steve?
Well, I was playing on the Oculus Quest 2, and this is my first VR shooting game, and I love shooting zombies anyhow, and I thought they'd done an amazing job. From the get-go, you start off in a room, you have an old arcade shooting game, so you grab the gun with the cord still attached, and that's how you set your settings up. And then you get the floppy disk off the table, put that in the machine, and out pops your first service pistol.
Yeah.
And then you do a bit of practice, go out. You don't last long, which is the thing. You get rescued, and then it takes you to the hub, and that's where the fun begins. Oh. And I had such a blast with this. But let's talk about the hub first, because obviously you go in there, there's loads of arcade machines.
Yes, there's a lot going on when you first get in there.
There's a lot of arcade machines, but if you go to the very far back, it's where you can actually craft your weapons and upgrade your weapons.
Yep.
And I thought they'd done such an awesome job on this. Again, you have the arcade machine with your service with the gun, and that's where you can buy stuff to upgrade your weapon.
Yep.
But the only way you can upgrade your weapon is get harvest points. That's when you have to go out in the field.
Yeah, this one, I mean, we're getting 5 levels here, and this is a $45 game, so 5 levels maybe to some, maybe not seem like a lot, but the runtime's about 4 hours total if you're able to kind of really whip through this. But they are supporting this beyond what we're getting for the initial release. There is going to be kind of like a Season 1 update where we're going to be seeing some new levels, some weapons, and a couple other things going on, which is great, because, I mean, for $45, I think there's a lot of value there, especially if they're going to continually kind of add to this game, even if it's only just, 1 or 2 seasons worth of content. But like you said, kind of when you first get into it, they do a good job of kind of laying it all out for you. You get to see how all the controls work, how you can upgrade your weapons, and the idea behind this game is just kind of wipe out the zombies as fast as possible. You can play with 3 AI teammates, or you can actually join up co-op. It's cross-platform, so that's actually kind of one of the bigger draws here, is because you can hop on and play with your friends and just blast through hordes of zombies, and they do a really good job, because I think they really make it feel like you're kind of being overwhelmed here, right? And then when you're in VR, you're already so immersed that when these zombies are jumping out at you from all different angles, let me tell you, I whacked the walls a few times in here in this room, and I mean, I apologize, walls, but honestly, this game was too much fun, Steve.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is I found it's not just about cleaning the air of zombies, it's actually exploring, because there's things to help you on the way. Like, one thing I did love is when your right hand is on your right hand, you'll have your health level.
Yeah.
That you can see how much health you have. And obviously you will lose some health along the way. But what I love the way they did is that you find frozen characters that like old crew that gone out previously to investigate. And they'll have a pipe bomb or a health syringe or something like that to help you on the way. And I loved every bit of this. And you can also find drawers as well. Break the locks, open the drawers up, get some ammo.
Oh, you need it too. You need it.
Yes. And another cool feature I did like as well is the floppy disk that they leave scattered around, that you pick them up. And the idea is that in between levels, there's actually like a safe house.
Yes.
Where you can actually go into there, put your disc in, and it stores it for you. Because you can only carry 2 items at a time, like in your wrists.
Yes,
like
yeah, you kind of just put it in your glove.
Put it in your glove. And I found that a bit annoying sometimes, especially when playing with AI, because I find more than a couple of floppy disks, and it's like, I can't carry anymore, and the AIs won't take them.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's probably good to play with proper real co-op people.
Oh, for
so at least
sure.
they can collect items and stuff like that.
But you know what? This one wasn't all sunshine and roses, Steve. We did have some issues. Both of us ran into the same one, actually, and we weren't sure if it was the rigs we were using, whether it was my PC or my headset or just your Oculus headset. But when there was a lot of zombies on screen, I got a little choppy on the gameplay. It didn't last long, but if there was a lot going on, explosions, lots of zombies on the screen, it did start to get a little bit choppy for me. You can toggle the graphic settings, but you did say you did try that, and it didn't really make much of an improvement. So I mean, it may be just something to do with the game. So maybe further updates will smooth stuff like that out. We could only hope. But honestly, this game is a ton of fun, and I think for the $45 price point, it's right where it needs to be for the game that you're getting. And the fact that you can play with your friends is a huge bonus. So honestly, Steve, we've been blasting through this review pretty good. If you got to give this one a score out of 10, what are you going to give after the fall VR?
Well, I had so much fun, and I'm definitely jumping back into this one a lot more often. It's good just for like 30 minutes, just even after a hard day's work, frustration, just blow some zombies up and just go to town kind of thing. So I'm giving this one an 8. How about you?
Nice. You know what? I was trying to think of what I wanted to give this one, because I think the future updates is what's going to make this game kind of be the zombie shooter to play on VR. So you know what? I'm there with a 7.5, just a little bit lower. There's a few things they could have smoothed out, but honestly, overall, I had a blast playing this game. A great VR zombie shooter with cross-platform co-op is a huge plus, and there's tons of replayability here. Steve and I both had some frame drop issues on our respective headsets when there's a ton of zombies on screen, but honestly, this game was just too fun to put down. Razer's one of the top brands out there when we talk about gaming peripherals, and at CES 2022, they released some details about Project SoFIA, their 100% modular gaming desk, and let me tell you, this thing looks like a beast. It has a 65-inch OLED screen mounted on the desk, and the entire desk is a glass top that underneath has these modular pieces that you can click in and out depending on how you want to customize the layout of your desk, whether you're streaming, gaming, you're just using it for workflow. There's all different kinds of modules that you can actually use to customize this desk, and this isn't anything we've really ever seen before in this space, and it's kind of nice to see that Razer's one of these companies that, you know, is a trusted brand, and to see this kind of being released. They're calling it Project SoFIA, and this thing looks amazing. I mean, the screen may be a little bit close, you might have to be wearing some glasses, but honestly, I think any gamer would be happy to get their hands on one of these things. We're not getting a ton of details on release dates and prices so far, but honestly, you could just be in awe of this thing by looking at it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the different types of modules you can actually click in underneath the desk to really get that customized layout. I'm looking forward to getting some more details about this thing, but as it stands right now, if you haven't heard about it, Razer's Project SoFIA, you gotta go check this thing out.
Alright guys, I have some exciting news coming from Nintendo. That's right, Ezio is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Finally, you guys can play the Ezio collection on your Nintendo Switch as of February 17th. I love Assassin's Creed, and personally, Ezio is my favorite character. And all three of those games were arguably some of the best, if not the best, of all the Assassin's Creed games. So, being able to play this on the go on the Switch seems very fitting. I actually reviewed with Drew Assassin's Creed Rogue, which was a game that came out shortly after Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. But this game, it fit incredibly well on the Switch, so I can see how the Ezio collection it'll sit fantastically in my library. So guys, February 17th, save the date for the Ezio collection.
There is a rumour that there's a new game that's in production, and it's by one of my most favourite gaming developers, Quantum Dreams. Now, Quantum Dreams brought us games such as Fahrenheit, Beyond Two Souls, Heavy Rain, and the amazing Detroit Becomes Human. And not long ago, they actually announced they were working on the new Star Wars Eclipse game, which looks absolutely amazing for what we've seen. Now, in this rumour, Quantum Dream is reportedly working on a comedy game based on a Dark Sorcerer demo that was released in E3 2013. And that's according to the Twitter leaker account NGT, who accurately leaked Quantum Dream's Star Wars Eclipse ahead of its recent reveal. Account NGT claims that this humour-based fantasy title will be developed in parallel with Star Wars Eclipse, and describes it as a cross-gen release focusing on interactive and non-linear storytelling built on the writing of studio head David Cage.
I can never get that last one right.
Fashta Malavi.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I knew it. Damn! I am so sorry.
No problem. We'll just take it again.
Wow, dude, totally freaked me out. I scared the crap out of me, man. Oh, excuse me, if I may, I just have a quick word about the script.
About the script?
I have to say, even though the Dark Sorceress demo was 2013, it still looks really good now. And also, even though Quantum Dream's story-driven games are more on the serious note, it'll be interesting to see how this comedy game goes, and I'm really looking forward to trying this one out.
Alright, this is the first time we're playing this on Xbox, so we're gonna see how this goes. I don't want to go there. Who's up, dog? Can I... Oh my.
Oh,
that was fast.
That happened quick.
Wow.
I was like, ready?
Okay, so I found the body. It was obviously Daniel. Drew and I got the first out of two in electrical. I went to the second one electrical, and he was at the. Oh, we should get the map up. He was at the bottom of
the map.
Little, yeah.
How do you open the map? My screen's cut off.
Does select?
Throw in the
Is it
Discord
select?
general chat here.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
You know what I'm saying though?
Yeah, Adam and I were together the whole time.
The
so I have
storage
no idea.
area near the bottom, there's a dead dude.
You guys were cruising together the whole time, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
And you found him?
Yeah, and then when I left there and went down,
I was up in the top
Daniel's
right. I
dead
think
ass
that's navigation. I was doing a wires task or a files task, sorry, up there on the screen.
And I got
I
nothing.
didn't see anybody else. So.
No, I'm that whole round I didn't see anybody.
All right, I'm skipping.
I'm skipping vote for now. But we're on to you guys, whoever you are.
I'd say watch Nate.
Yeah, watch me. Me and Steve are just.
So
chilling.
make sure you guys vote.
Yeah.
So you gotta hit skip vote so we can end the voting because there's a time limit on the voting. So
Where is the? Oh, there it is at the bottom.
At the bottom.
whoever's up, dog.
Right.
Me. Hold on.
Up now.
As you,
Unless you want to vote for somebody. I mean, you're.
Steve.
There's a skip vote button, Steve.
At the bottom.
where's that?
It should be in the bottom
At
left.
the bottom where it says confirm, cancel, and all that stuff. It's at the bottom there.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. It's kind of hidden. It's in a weird spot.
Yes.
How do you open the map?
Left trigger, it says. It's not working.
No. Okay, it must be in game. My screen's
you
cut
might-
off. I didn't set it right.
No, you can't open it until you're like during a meeting.
That's weird. You should be able to do that.
I voted for myself, Max. This is as big as this goes. I put the map in the chat. Oh, there it is. So the map's in the chat.
Okay, mute
There's
up.
the bottom of storage. That's.
Did you see that? I saw somebody vented. Oh man, it doesn't tell me who though. Oh, I need a dead body.
Okay.
Oh, there goes Nate. Kyle. Wow.
I found.
Oh no.
Oh, you guys are both green. I found Kyle dark green in reactor, going to do the reactor, whatever that alarm that popped up on the left side.
Someone set a trap.
Yeah, someone was sabotaging the reactor. So I headed over there as soon as I walked in the room. Dead body. I did
So I
not
was
see
kinda near
anybody from
Drew
over
again.
there.
Yep.
I went cafeteria, like at the top, and I just went left, and then I did a task up in the top left, and as I came down, that thing went off. I walked in, dead body.
Didn't see
went way
anybody else.
right.
I didn't see
I
anybody
came
that
up.
whole time, except for all you guys at the table when we left at the meeting.
Oh man, I did
only
see
saw
Adam
Steve
again.
at the end of my loop.
You guys just
Yeah,
hanging
I
out?
was doing the admin thing.
No, I was over at storage, and then I went up to admin, and then Adam came rolling in after that. So,
And then the alarm went
And
off.
then the
Where
alarm
were
went
you at, Steven?
aha.
I was down at the bottom, and I saw Scott. Near the
Yeah,
bottom.
What were you
right.
doing down there?
Sorry?
What were you doing down there? Just hanging out?
Just like you guys.
Drinking
just
tea or something?
Who are you rolling around? Honestly, we have to. I think we have to vote because if we don't, all they need is one more kill.
All right.
Oh.
Voted.
Oh.
Well, we didn't come to a consensus. This is really interesting. We're all just now the friendships end.
We're just waiting on Scott and Steve to vote.
You can't see the map, Dale, if you hit left.
I don't know.
I can't see it either.
Oh, really?
The person who didn't get voted was Adam.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Adam voted for me though. Nice to see. Nice to see. No one was ejected. Two imposters for me.
Avenge me.
We're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Yeah. All right, mute up.
Let's
knew
go,
it.
Steve.
I knew it was you, Corey. Man.
Bastard.
It's not Steve jumping a vent.
Did you? Steve and I were in that same room, and then I saw you two coming down the side, so I took off to the left, and I was like, well, maybe we can't be hung out, because I was like, I can't. I guess we could have got away with just killing one of you in front of the other. It would game over anyways, but.
We're talking about Blade Assault by NeoWiz Games. Blade Assault is an action platformer, sort of. It features this character, aptly named Kill, on his road to revenge. But on that road to revenge is a lot of enemies. I feel like it has taken inspiration from Hades, but we'll get there shortly. The story for this game is pretty inconsequential. It's definitely besides the action. And, well, it is a roguelite, so you're going to be repeating some of these sections over and over and over again, but it does that satisfying roguelite thing where you're collecting different types of credits, and you can turn those credits in your actual playthrough for healing and upgrades and stuff like that. And between missions, you can actually level your character, so you do get stronger over time, even if you do keep losing. And that's an important thing for me because this game actually meets you with some good challenge. It's not just a walk in the park. As you're progressing through, and the more enemies you crush, the difficulty bar on the top right actually fills in, and it'll level up the difficulty. And you'll see that number come up and up and up, and what it does is it spawns stronger enemies. Some of them have an immunity to crowd control kind of attacks, so you're not going to freeze them to keep them still. At the end of each of these kind of rooms, we'll call it, you have the option of picking maybe either electricity or fire, and one of those two doors leads to another room with another challenge full of enemies, and when you destroy them, you get either the fire or the electrical upgrade, just like you chose. That weapon imbued with elemental attacks. There's a lot of recurring enemies, and you'll get used to those enemy types. And I found that when you move to a new world, we'll call it, after several levels you have a boss fight, and then you're on to the next kind of area. All of them seem to have just a skin swap. The enemies react the same way, and there's really just kind of a small enemy, a medium, and a large, and then a projectile shooting one, and it doesn't go much deeper than that until you get into these boss fights, because they have a much larger health bar, and they're doing attacks that you haven't seen before. If that boss enemy does send you packing, well, it's an interesting kind of hub world that you return to. There's a lot of different shops that you can kind of spec your character up, level up your different abilities, or give you more damage with normal attacks, or more health in your health bar, and that's cool. And it's all kind of situated around this underground town. You find a lot of people along there that were really cool, in my opinion. And some characters that you can become friends with, you give them gifts, and then you can control those characters. And that switches up the gameplay quite a bit. Another kind of nod to Hades, where you give them a gift, you level their friendship up to level 3, and they give you some sort of bonus. But I thought it was good because it adds another system of upgrades into this game. It does get a little complicated, but it allows for a really high ceiling. You can make your character very powerful, and that's something that's extremely satisfying in a roguelite. Graphically, the game is not terribly impressive. It has its own style to it, but it's not a super high resolution thing. It doesn't go for realism, and I'm kind of glad it didn't, because it really isn't necessary, and this game is just all about the action. There is a pretty interesting soundtrack behind. It's generally some sort of energetic kind of electronic music, and that fit very well. It doesn't get terribly repetitive, but I think it just does the job. You may be able to gather from my explanation, I had a very good time with this game. I had a lot of fun, and I'm looking at it with a fine-tooth comb to really find some of the issues with it. I think it does a very good job at putting that action in the forefront. It has just enough of a story to set up a good premise and kind of drag you along. The world is really cool to me, and I kind of wish I learned a little bit more about it. And if you do enjoy roguelite games, or 2D kind of action games, I think this is one for you. I have to give it a 7. I'm impressed, but it just doesn't stand out enough on its own. Blade Assault consists of a satisfying gameplay loop with good challenge. The character building options make this a standout among other roguelite titles that are similar.
Alright, so for those of you who have been grinding Memories of Mars, you've been looking at the Vanguard gear and wondering, how awesome is it? And for those of you who have maybe unlocked the Vanguard chest piece, you may have felt a little underwhelmed like I did when I first got it. When you read the description, it kind of just gives you the idea that you can just buffer your fall if you fall from somewhere really high up. But ultimately, the Vanguard chest piece gives you the ability to scale almost any cliff and mountainside that you see in this game. There are a couple ways to use the jetpack to gain maximum height, and in doing so you can either look down directly while using the jet boost to launch yourself high up in the air, and you can do the opposite by looking directly straight up while using the jetpack to gain maximum velocity. So the jetpack complemented by the boots and the legs, I mean, you can get anywhere in this game. It is totally worth getting all of these pieces of gear, because by the end of the day you can get from one side of the map about 2 to 3 to 4 times faster, I'm telling you. So I hope this helps you guys getting from one place to the next, or gives you that inspiration to want to work towards getting that Vanguard chest piece. Because I'm telling all you guys, it is totally worth it.
That'll wrap up today's episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And as always, you can be a part of the show. All you have to do is go to insidethegame.ca or hit us up in Discord. We're there. You can submit your clip and be the highlight of the week. This week, we got our longtime friend Muggs44 jumping into an old but a goodie, Cory and the Blind Forest. If you haven't played this, definitely time to pick it up. Check out Game Pass, of course. Until next week, everybody, thanks again, and we'll see you inside the game.